Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first virtual VEM committee meeting of the calendar year 2021. Welcome to colleagues. I hope you had a great Christmas break, and hopefully it's not too late to wish you all a happy new year, and to the members of the public who join us today via the live stream. I'm going to move straight into our agenda to move things along nicely and at a pace. And our first item for this year is 643/20, declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interest. And as is my wont, I'm happy to receive the declarations now or when we arrive at the item. Do we have any declarations, please, colleagues?
No.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that moves us swiftly on to item 644/20, which is apologies for absence. Now, I know we've received apologies from Councillor Barretto, who unfortunately is not well, and I wish her a speedy recovery. Chris Crimmins had a minute second. Apologies from committee members.
None others received, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so I can see in attendance today, I have Councillors Canham, Harvey, Crawford, and Jeremy. Is that correct, Chris?
That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so item 645/20 is to approve the minutes. And we have two sets of minutes. The first set of minutes that we need to approve, colleagues, are the minutes from November last year. I'm going to take them through page by page. Please stop me if you wish to address the matter. Page 1, page 2, page 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hello.
Approve the minutes, Dennis, if Mark don't come back.
Yeah. These have been approved by full council. So if we can approve the minutes, please.
Approve.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I'm happy with the minutes, Dennis.
Thank you,
Yeah, me
both.
too.
All three. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to 646. 646.
Chair, I am sorry. There was the December one. Have you approved both of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. 646/20. Update for marketing report. Provide an update for November, December 2020.
So hand over to Tom.
Sorry?
Yeah, if we can just defer to Tom, so Tom will take us through the marketing report that was circulated prior to the meeting. So over to you, Tom.
Thank you, David.
Right, hello. So the marketing report as was sent out last week. So one of the main things that we've been doing over the past couple of months, as I'm sure you will have all seen, is there's been a wide variety of video projects that we've all been working on. So the main one being Talking Up Thetford, which was, I believe, originally from Councillor James, and we've had a assortment of the town councillors come to do the filming with myself or Joe to essentially, well, talk up Thetford and sort of show how, you know, what's going on in the town and what we can, you know, what's on offer here that people often don't know about. So stuff like that. We've also had the Remembrance Tree project, which went well, and the live streams for the Mayor's Carol service as well. So there's been a variety of different things as well that on a smaller scale. But in summary, a lot of what we've been focusing on has been these video projects. Talking Up Thetford has received pretty good interactions on our social medias and such. So I feel like it's a project that going forward in the future is definitely something that we as officers should look into and continue, because there are a lot of different businesses and even heritage sites that we can highlight on something like this, and it can even become like a full archive of videos showcasing what the town has that's like unique to Thetford, which is something we should definitely highlight as much as we can. Over the Christmas period, we've also had the regulars, which so like the Chilton's Letters to Santa and the online version of the Christmas Light Switch On, which obviously we would have much preferred to be an in-person event, but COVID is not going away anytime soon, it seems. So that was another one that went out online. So more video editing done by, that was Joe that did that one. And that went out, which was another pretty popular post, as well as any post we put out showing Christmas trees going up, lights being displayed, etc. All good stuff that sort of paints the town and the council in a very positive light. That's a lot of what we've been working towards. Regarding the monthly observations, so we had a really high number of posts that reached over 1,000 views comparative to what we normally get, which partially down to it being Christmas and a lot of our posts being surrounding coming up to Christmas, and you'll get people be a lot more receptive to that sort of thing rather than the usuals, I guess. Of course, the Talk Up Thetford post receives a lot as well. And but I think having the different video projects and in general having a bunch of projects which spin a positive light will encourage good interactions from the public. Lastly, we've got the upcoming projects, the media suite, which I've been working on. I've been putting up foam panels to sort of make the room more acoustically viable, for lack of a better term. And so we've also been working on the idea of creating more content from this media suite. So Joe has been putting together the initial plans for a podcast or a vodcast from this media suite, and as well as all sorts of other ways we can use it, such as being able to make these videos in-house without having to use our personal equipment. The analytical data for the social media, which as being our main method of measuring what's going on, we've seen a relatively higher number of post reach. However, the numbers on these posts don't actually showcase the increase, as the data shown only shows the most recent month, and this is a report covering 2 months. So it says that the reach is down overall. That's actually just because the previous month there was a particularly high peak. And that is the document covered. If there's anyone else has any other questions, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. I've got Brenda wanting to have a chat. Yeah.
Dennis, just to let you know, colleagues, internet did drop, so I'm back in the meeting. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So that was Brenda who was putting her hands up. Mark.
Thank you. Over to you, Brenda.
Yeah, basically, it's a big thank you to the funeral director who put the tree in the cemetery. Absolutely fantastic. I shared it everywhere, and I think people really appreciated that. I don't know who done the video, whether he done his own, but I thought that was absolutely lovely to go and see that tree. So a big thank you to him.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. We did I did the filming with Mark Skinner down there at the start of December, and we had a couple of posts go out, during the month, just sort of showcasing updates for the tree. And I think by the end of the month, there was a huge number of people who had contributed to it. So it's definitely a really positive thing for the town.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions, colleagues, regarding this report? Okay. Tom,
sorry, I'm having difficulty with my machine, but I just wanted to say I support the idea of taking Talking Up Thetford as an ongoing thing, because I think we've identified a model that seems to be reaching people and is well received, and will give us a good window to the town itself. So I support the idea of that going on as an onward thing. Thank you.
I just got a couple of comments on that. Talking Up Thetford's an excellent project to be going forward, and something we should be doing as a matter of course ongoing anyway, promoting the town out. You all would have seen, and I apologise for the lateness that you all received it, the suggestions from myself, and they are just suggestions of possible highlights we should be doing, promoting Thetford out, and also identifying opportunities. I think this is something councillors would like to have oversight of, particularly on the VEM committee. And also, I think maybe it'd be worthwhile us making a recommendation to the personnel committee as well, because I think to varying degrees, some of us are more comfortable talking to a camera than others are, and I'd like to make it as inclusive as possible. So if committee's minded, I think a recommendation to personnel committee to provide some social media training and presentation training will be quite useful going forward, because these short bites into Thetford and displaying what we are as a town and our amazing offer will be their prosperity. And the old adage that you only get one chance to make a good impression probably is prevalent with this. So that would be my suggestion, stroke recommendation, that we put that to the personnel committee to facilitate that. Thoughts and comments, please.
If that's a formal recommendation, I would second it for you, Mark.
Thank you. Stuart, was you about to speak? And then I got Terry.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah, I just support that idea of, of generally doing it. Obviously, you've laid out a few ideas there. Obviously, a lot of them are COVID dependent, and obviously, once we do get the opening up of businesses, then the hospitality sector, there will be a good push from us really to try and promote those to the wider audience. But yes, I'm happy to support the idea of some media training. Thank you.
Terry.
Thank you. Apologies, I'm going to keep my camera off as much as I can because I'm actually in the office and like my proper office, and I'm surprised how rubbish the internet is, but hopefully it's coming through okay. I was just going to say, I haven't had an email for a while, but I know Norfolk ALC used to do some sort of social media training. I don't know if it's sort of general media training as well, but it might be a good idea to check in with what they're up to and what they're providing. I've done a few training courses the last few months, like by Zoom and Teams, and actually found it really useful because you haven't got to drive everywhere to access some of these training things. So definitely a good opportunity for councillors, staff, whoever, to do some training while we're all locked down and that sort of thing. So worthwhile having a look at what NALC offer.
Thank you. Brenda.
Yeah, I'm all for it because, as I said earlier outside of the meeting, there are lots of groups out there. You know, when people say there's nothing to do, so it's promoting these groups. It helps them, especially children's groups. You know, because children people often say, "Oh, there's nothing for the kids to do." Well, actually, did you know there was a club here, or you know, this goes on there. We have vacancies, and it's just promoting all them. Besides, boosting up the town centre. And I follow somebody from Walthamstow, as you know, Walthamstow, Mark, and he actually, and he's just an ordinary man, and and he makes mistakes, but he don't worry about it. He just carries on, and he walks the length and breadth of Walthamstow, showing you the roads, how they used to be, and what's there now, and who was famous that lived in this house. Absolutely fantastic, fascinating to watch. You know, and I think that is one way you're boosting up Thetford, by showing people actually this is what's out there.
Thank you, Brenda. I hope you're not suggesting the recommendations get a set of walking boots.
Well, it might
But,
be. A
it's a really good, and the more we can do to promote our town, not just to the outside world, but to local residents who I know from some conversations are unaware sometimes of some of the little gems that we're fortunate enough to possess within our boundaries. Going forward, I'm quite happy if we investigate the option of NALC first, and that would avoid the need for a recommendation to another committee. Are members comfortable with that?
Yes, Chair.
Just to clarify what you're suggesting, Mark, when you say social media training, do you mean do you mean actually using the social media, or do you mean sort of a training on how to present to an audience as if they were on the camera?
Thank you, Tom. I think my use of social media, the word social media probably clouded the issue, and you're quite right. It's the latter, because it can be quite unnerving, and for people presenting that they see this camera in front of them, and legs go to jelly, mine included. So I think it'd just be quite useful, and it would open it out to maybe some colleagues that maybe don't feel so comfortable standing in front of a camera, and it might enable them to feel more confident going forward. Does that clear that up?
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, in that case, I'm not 100% on the procedure, so I'll need to be corrected if this is not the case. But I myself have a fair bit of experience in, talking in front of a camera, doing a lot of commentary gigs and stuff over the past decade or so. So if we want to streamline the issue with David's permission, I'm happy to do a Teams meeting where I go through it with councillors who would like that, and try and essentially educate them on how to do it myself, at the very least in the manner that would suit a short interview for a camera, in front of a camera.
I've experienced some training like that, Tom, and it's invaluable. It's quite excruciating watching yourself back, actually, and the involuntary movements you're not aware you're making. So it is a worthwhile way forward. Chris Crimmins, you've had your hand up very patiently.
Only to say it's passed on now, because I was going to ask you if you wanted to take a vote on that resolution or recommendation, but you talked about perhaps looking at NALC before you go for any other training. Is that correct?
And I think Tom's offering up a
yes.
solution as well.
Yeah.
So if members are minded, I think we've reached a good place on that. And obviously, I provided the other side of this is I provided suggestions for engagement on the Talking Up Thetford project. It's a starting point. It's there for debate, and you're quite right. The chairs on the deck would need to be moved around anyway, because we're in a very fluid, difficult situation at the moment because of the COVID restrictions. So I look forward to treating it as the start of 10, and look forward to the committee's feeding into that. Other than that, the actual decision required is to note the report. Are members happy that we do? Members happy that we do that?
I'm Sugar. I'm happy with that, Mr. Chairman. The other thing is, I think when going along, if you do a one-to-one with Tom, because he can always cancel out the video when we're allowed to meet again. If you do the one-to-one, you're actually going through it and looking back at what you've done and see where the errors are.
Well, yeah, and I think we can leave Tom and the team. And timely, I've got David to put his hand up next. We can leave Tom and David to work out the logistics and how that will work, and speak to us individually. But as long as it's opened out to all councillors, that'd be great. David.
Just to add to that, Chair, I think it's still pertinent for me maybe to have an action to investigate some professional training from NALC. That's not to undermine in any way Tom's suggestion, because I think going forward, we've got lots of ideas in the pipeline in terms of how we use our media suite and how we schedule our video production in the future. So I think once we get some professional tips and suggestions from a professional tutor, then maybe we can, as a committee, look at how we create our own vibe, our own way of delivering. And it could be left to Joe and Tom to try and keep other people who come into the fold to make these kind of videos with some one-to-one training. But I don't think we should pass up the opportunity to access some professional training, because we've discussed this before, Chair, and I've done some training in a previous job, and it is very eye-opening and it's very useful. So I don't think we should miss out on that.
No, I'm happy for that to be an action point. Chris, is that an historical hand up? Chris Crimmins.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sorry,
Oh,
I was on mute.
Okay. Right, well, I think that's quite useful. So thank you for the update, Tom. We've noted the report, and David's got an action point to come out of that, and we look forward to what you come forward with, supporting this going forward. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, I do apologise. Halfway through presenting the minutes, my internet dropped, and I had to access another device. So, unless I'm correct, David, perhaps you can help me with this. I'm assuming that item wasn't closed out properly.
Yeah, it was.
David?
Sorry, can you not see the screen, Chair? We've moved on to the next agenda item, no?
Yeah, I'm just checking, Dave, because my internet dropped. I was in the middle of presenting one set of minutes.
Oh, sorry, Chair. Yes, Dennis took over chair as we discussed, and those minutes were approved.
Fantastic. And does that include the minutes for the meeting, December's meeting as well?
Yes, it does, both sets.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't missing anything. Thank you. And thank you for stepping in, Dennis.
Welcome.
That moves on to item 647/20, which is the budget, which is to review the month end for December last year.
Okay, so the budget was circulated prior to the meeting. So rather than labour with anything, can I just defer to any councillors' questions?
Okay, the floor's now open for any comments. Chris, can you just take your hand down, please, Chris Crimmins? So do we have any questions or comments on the budget, colleagues?
There's none from me, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Well, David, obviously we're in a position where our budgets are constrained and challenged, and I should imagine these figures predate going into lockdown.
Yes, they do. And I spoke with Alan, the finance officer, and Deputy Town Clerk yesterday. And yeah. I think because we've just returned from the Christmas break, I think when we present in the February meeting, it may well be revised once again to try and forecast the last quarter. But there may be some revisions needed to the budget because we are now going into stricter conditions, which means some of the returning hirers under Tier 2 and clearly can't enter the building. In fact, the only user of our facilities at the moment is our commitment to blood donors, which is actually stipulated in the government guidelines that we can do so. With respect to that, other village halls have been hit, so we have picked up and agreed to facilitate a second monthly donation session. So we're trying to help out that scheme, but again, it clearly impacts massively on our budget in terms of that. In association with that, our weekly markets, which were showing a little bit of improvement just prior to Christmas. Again, we are down to just essential traders only. And in fact, one of the traders contacted me late evening on Monday to say that they were, even though they were an essential trader and allowed to attend, the situation had developed to a point where they felt uncomfortable and unsafe. So they are not going to trade in any markets until the situation improves. So I think there's a lot of scary thoughts out there at the minute. And again, on a Tuesday, we'll literally have 2 stall holders, and on a Saturday, only 3. So again, that impacts on our income for market fees. So it's looking grim, but you know, all we can do is just hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that end of the tunnel is coming sooner than we hope. But yeah.
And obviously one of the impacts as well that maybe doesn't show in the report, but definitely is there. We had planning to reopen the Guildhall tea rooms in the first quarter.
And again, I think progress on the refurbishments and the remodelling is slightly behind schedule, but that was expected because of the break. As long as we don't get hit with any beast from the east, we should be finished by the end of March. So it looks likely that we'll be ready to open as soon as we possibly can. But yes, it will impact on the reopening. And let's hope that at least from April the 1st, we can do so in some shape or form. But
okay. So my question to colleagues: we know the situation we're in, and none of us possess a crystal ball, but we do need to be looking to the future when restrictions are not so tight. We are able to do things. Is there any thoughts from colleagues about how we work forward to planning to improve our budget position going forward? And I appreciate I've just sprung a question on you. Is it something you would like to consider at the next meeting to give a reasonable amount of time to consider the matter, because it's a big subject. But obviously we need to be looking forward to how we increase revenue and move as much as we can, move the budget into a healthier position. Stuart, was your hand up?
Yeah, I just think it's a very difficult thing to foresee. As you say, we haven't got a crystal ball. Venues being open obviously allows you to put on more events, but until that's A, physically complete, and B, allowed to open, it's very difficult. Obviously, we've had our historic hirers, and we've had flux with those over the years. Some come, some are gone. I appreciate really David's input into where he feels the opportunities are with the revised offer of disabled access to the Guildhall, and also the utilisation of the Carnegie. I think the Carnegie is probably better utilised than the Guildhall, so there's greater opportunity in the Guildhall, and also with it being revamped, disabled access, new toilets, there is a greater offer there to have shall we say, an opening event to get possible users in, and to press the flesh and give them a glass of wine and say, come on, have a look what we've done. But at the moment we can't schedule that in, but I think that's the type of thing where we can hit the ground running. But David, potentially, could you have a word on that one?
Yeah, basically, I fully agree with Stuart there, Chair, and that's something we can do. We as you say, we haven't crystal balls. We don't know when those doors may open, but what we certainly shouldn't be doing is sitting on our laurels and thinking, let's wait until we can. I know Terry has said in the past, we should be planning our relaunch campaign, and we can do that. The idea is that we're ready to go, and when that time comes, it will be very soon after we are able to open our doors. So we've talked in the past about the potential of the Guildhall. Perhaps next time, next month's meeting, Chair, that we actually explore what that potential actually is, what those events are. In the past, we've been very limited with access, and that has determined the kind of events and activities that we can offer. Those kind of restrictions have been listed with the refurbishments. So it's almost, we are on par with the kind of events that we deliver in the Carnegie, obviously scaled down to a more smaller, medium-sized venue. But we have an opportunity in the Guildhall tea room space that can double up as a bar for evening events. We have talked about how we've completely refurbished and redecorated the Guildhall, or will do before we open our doors. So it will make an excellent venue for weddings, for instance. Not just wedding ceremonies, but small or the smaller budgeted wedding receptions that we can turn around relatively quickly. So that's just one option that we may be able to facilitate, which we have never had the opportunity to even contemplate in the past. What are those other events and activities we can? Well, let's explore and discuss those so we can put together our marketing campaign. I think probably, realistically, we've got certainly another quarter, another 3 months to cement this and be ready to market what will be almost a brand new venue for us. So I agree with Stuart. Let's crack on.
Brenda?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with what Stuart was saying. If we could have an open day, say on a Saturday, when we're allowed to open, and people can go into the tea room, the Guildhall, and then go over the top to the Carnegie, and just have a general walkabout day where they can look at things and then talk to whoever's on duty what sort of thing that they would like to use the hall for and how much would it cost. I just think it's a great opportunity when we start to open again.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to make a comment? Okay, thank you. I'm going to move that item on then. Thank you, colleagues. Okay, we're on to item 648/20, which is the website review. Back to you, David.
Okay, so in our forward plan, we did have set to further progress the website. The consensus of the discussion in the November meeting, which was our last formal meeting, was to explore the opportunity of developing a new website, a new, simpler format. And we discussed various different examples that we'd looked at. That is something that I have tried to progress with our current provider and also other web designers. And we have looked at those 3 examples, which are very similar, which were Harpenden, Oswestry and Seaham town councils. And all of them follow a very similar format. So that's the kind of brief that we've pushed out there to try and get some outline costs and also examples. Unfortunately, because of the break and also some illness, I'm afraid that we haven't had the example that I was hoping to present today. I've been assured that we will do for February, so we'll need to bring this item back in the February meeting. But some of the examples that I've seen that need to be worked up a little bit more are very exciting. They certainly will answer some of the councillors' concerns in terms of ease of navigation around our current site. Our current site, as our provider says at the moment, is 6 years old, and when you're looking at technology, that's quite a lengthy lifespan. So I think we are looking at the right progression in terms of trying to develop it We will look at a block format. So if you look at Seaham Town Council, when you get time, you will see that there's areas on their homepage that you can just easily and simply navigate through and from. And we've looked at 9 block tabs, if you like. I'm probably using the wrong term, but I'm using simple terms that I understand, that will identify council services, town councillors, the council committee meetings and agendas and minutes, which has been a bone of contention in terms of some of the councillors' thoughts in ease of finding, etc. Then there's venues. So again, from a commercial perspective, we need to easily be able to explore the venues and the opportunities that they offer. Similarly with events, history and heritage, places of interest, latest news and media. So again, we're trying to develop podcasts and video casts, or whatever you call them, vlogcasts. So again, a nice, easy, simple way to get your information from. And then the bog standard contact us that we that you always have on the website. So if you look at Seaham Town Council, you will see the kind of format that we're trying to allude to, and that's what's being worked up to present at the February meeting. So hopefully we'll make some progress between now and then and can move forward. But I'm quite excited by some of the examples that I've seen. So hopefully it'll answer, as I say, some of the councillors' concerns. But unfortunately, we're going to have to defer the example until February. We also we didn't cut the media and marketing in the revised budgets that we looked at in December, so we have adequate funds to actually develop a new website, so there's no fears of overspending in that respect. And some of the costs I've been provided by potential designers is that we actually might make a small saving on our ongoing costs of posting and support. So hopefully more information next month, councillors, but I don't know whether there's any thoughts or questions on that.
I'll open that out. Is there any comments or questions, colleagues? David, you just put your own hand up to answer your own question.
Oh, sorry, I'm just mucking about. I tried to lower it and I raised it again. Sorry, Chair.
You're more than welcome to ask yourself a question.
You know what? Thank God I'm not developing this website. Technology eludes me after.
So let's just check that. Sorry, Brenda.
It's just a thought, and I don't know whether it's legal, but sometimes I don't know, you need an emergency plumber or something like that. Would we be allowed to charge to put them on our website? It's just an inquiry, really, because sometimes we, oh God, where do I get? You see it all over. Is there anyone that can come and fix this? Is there anyone that can come and do this? Well, would we be allowed to advertise for a small fee?
Can I just expand on that question, if that's okay? Because it's a good question. I think you maybe wrap that up, the opportunity for commercialisation of the website. Would that be a fair comment, Brenda?
Yeah. Obviously, we'd need to check to make sure that they're allowed to do it.
Sorry, I can hear someone trying to speak, but I can't see any hands up.
Yes, sorry, that was me. I was answering your question. The husband was telling me it's raining and I've got my carpets outside. Basically, yeah, it is like commercialisation, but it does bring money back in to help with the media. I don't know whether it's legal or not, as a council, that we could do that. And providing that they can show that they are proper plumbers, they've got all the certificates.
Other tradesmen are available. I just thought I mentioned that.
I just thought of a plumber because I'm waiting for a plumber to come. It's okay.
I don't know if any of the officers have a view to that.
I personally don't. don't really like the idea of that, because we're trying to simplify the website and now we're complicating it with things that are probably beyond what we're really looking to do with our website. What we could do is, if we have a safe and approved partner organisation or website that actually does that, then we can provide links. So if there's a local web provider that showcases those kind of trades, then yeah, we can provide a link for the public to click through. But to commercialise it, it could just muddy the waters in terms of how we want to present the website in the future.
David, and then I'll come to you in a moment, Tom, if that's okay. And then I've got Stuart after that. Would we have an e-commerce function, for instance, if we wanted to sell tickets for an event that we've organised or facilitating, would we have an e-commerce function?
Yes, we will, and hopefully we'll go further than that and maybe look at things from a heritage perspective that they may well be able to purchase online or download for a fee and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities to generate income. It's just, you could have it's another section of the website that we'd have to try and facilitate, really. Whereas, there's people out there that already do it, that you can just provide a link.
Okay, thank you. Tom and then Stuart.
Just to add to that about like an official partner of sorts for that sort of thing. What Brenda is suggesting, while very valid, is pretty much already done by Yell.com, which is obviously, the more modern version of the Yellow Pages. So it wouldn't be too difficult to essentially redirect people in that direction to say, here is where you can find all of the local plumbers or all the local electricians and so on.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tom. Stuart.
Yeah, I think pretty much covered by David and Tom there. That we don't want to overcomplicate it. And the issue, if we start promoting individuals, then you've got to keep it up to date. Then you get the arguments: who's got top billing, who's got preference, what if he goes on the second page, and all that type of thing. Leaping Hair do the directory of information and businesses that sign up for there. So a signpost towards Everything Thetford would probably do the job, and keep our maintenance to a minimum, because there is a cost associated with trying to do these advertising and keeping everybody happy.
Thank you, Stuart. Is there any further comments? David, would you like the opportunity just to summarise and round up on the direction we're pursuing?
So I think we have made progress. And basically it's just adding to the action list to revisit, and for next month's meeting, where examples will be provided to the councillors to determine whether we're on the right lines and what the next steps are. So the action is just to bring it back to the February meeting.
Okay. Thank you, David. Okay, with no further comments, I'm going to close that item out and move on to item 6.9/20. And this item's about the rotunda in the town centre, to discuss the use of the rotunda. Terry, would you like to make an opening comment on this?
Yes, please, if I may. Thank you to whoever's been out and got a picture, actually, because I did have some of my own pictures, but I don't know how to share them, so that's really useful. I appreciate at the moment the town centre is quieter than it otherwise normally is, but I have found myself a number of times standing in the queue at the post office, which at the moment is, always some way down the street, one way or the other. And as I've stood there, I've stared at the rotunda a couple of times and just sort of thought to myself what a missed opportunity it is, because it's in quite a prominent location, with the shops that are still open, and just general people sort of walking through town, getting their daily exercise. There still is quite a lot of footfall. And I've noted that the posters as they are you can see on the picture there, I think that's probably an A3 poster, don't fill the spaces quite well. You often have a lot of sort of grey and blankness around it, or as you'll see in the right hand side, I think that one, that sort of gap there on the right hand side is actually missing its cover and sort of just looks quite a mess. Or you can see bits of sellotape and blue tack and whatnot floating around. So it's just not being maintained as best as it could be. On the other side, there's actually still, I think you can just about see it on there, there's still a poster. Yesterday I went down to have a look, advertising the Santa's Grotto at Charles Borough, which was in November, and it's still in there at the moment. So there are a few issues. So the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, actually, what we could do is something similar to what the council or whoever does when we have vacant shops, which is to fill the spaces with more useful sort of generic type information. We've got an opportunity to promote the council, the venue hire type stuff at the council. We could promote the river corridor, we could promote or just have pictures of Thetford scenery, Thetford heritage, so that they could be designed to fit the spaces. And if there is a relevant poster that comes up, obviously at the moment there's not so many events and that sort of thing, you could take the generic one out, put the more up-to-date one in, and then if there is a gap, you put it back, so they can be reused on a regular basis. But basically they're a sort of bank of fillers, if you like, to fill the gaps on the rotunda. Because at the moment, there's most of those display cabinets are empty, or there's not up-to-date information. So I think if we allocated some of our money from the marketing budget and got somebody to design some graphics that are Thetford specific. I'm not sure if there's a set size for that, but I think it's probably about an A2 or maybe an A1, probably A2, I should think, and just get printed out some good quality fillers to fill the space, essentially in the same way that they fill vacant shops and the windows of vacant shops with, if you go down to where Clinton Cards used to be, up that street there was pictures of the forest and that sort of thing, and Susan Glossop filled in shop units. I think the one down near Bernardo's opposite that is still sort of put to use, if you like. So I just want to, it's a town council owned rotunda, it's in a prime location, and let's spend a couple of £100 designing and printing some generic graphics that can fill that space and put it to good use, basically, is what I wanted to say.
Okay, David?
I think that's an excellent idea. And actually, can I just firstly say I popped down to take that picture. And if you look at that picture, the one at the bottom is, and actually the one at the top is sitting on the bottom of the frame. And the reason it's sitting on the bottom of the frame is it's a bit of a pathetic excuse. But when we refurbished the rotunda, the basic posters were held by little magnets, and all of those magnets have been lost. So we need to buy some more magnets to hold posters in. The CBC Santa's Grotto, there was two in there, Terry. One I got out of it, but the other one, when we say we've refurbished the rotunda, I'm not quite sure, because as Vem, we weren't involved in that. I think we gave it a lick of paint, but we didn't repair the doors. I couldn't actually physically get that poster out because I tried to tidy it up a little bit. But what we could do, I really like the idea of the fillers. We could put them on Foamex boards, so we could just pop them in and pop them out. The problem with the shop fronts is they're stuck vinyl panels. So again, just being frugal, we can just take them out and put them back as and when and keep them. So I think that's a really good idea. If you look at the agenda item, it says decision required, use and ongoing management. I think we have been a bit lax in terms of our Vem team, and I apologise for that. The rotunda, when it was at the Carnegie, was so close to our own poster sites, it was given over to every community event. We never put a poster in there because it seemed silly and petty to take up space when our poster site was literally 10 yards away. Now it's been moved to a really good location. I would like to think that we can get some stuff in there, but the reason there's not a lot of information in there is because there's not a lot of things going on. But the filler idea means it doesn't look so pathetic as that picture shows. So I think that's something we can definitely work on, and that's a really good idea, Chair, that I would certainly take forward. But there is this issue of the ongoing management and responsibility of it, because there was a third party, not mentioning any names on the public forum, but it was a third party that was involved in replenishing the rotunda in the past. And I don't think just because we've got a better location, we should be bullish and say that we're going to take it back. We need to have a discussion with them to see whether they want to take on the ongoing management of it. And if so, how do we do that? And how do we retain at least a couple of those windows, being selfish about it, in a new location? So I think we'll have a conversation with those to say, what do we do once things get better? But in the interim, I'll certainly progress Terry's idea about the fillers. I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Stuart.
Thank you, Chair. That's great news, Dave. Can I just ask a question? Is that door still about then, the one that's missing that Terry noted on the bottom right?
I'll have to go back to the works team and ask, and I want to know how we get one of those doors open. So where were the keys? And also, I think if there needs to be some repairs of the hinges, let's get it done, because we can't leave it like that.
Well, that was...
So yes, there's a bit of work that I need to take away from this meeting.
Yeah, that's one of the points I was just going to go into. Just get it up fit for purpose before we actually get other people involved with it, because we'll only create ourselves more problems if it's not fit for purpose. Brilliant idea, Terry. The generic or the fillers or stock images. I'm sure that we've got images of the town that can be used already in the bank somewhere. I know Tina did some posters for the bus station when we utilised some of the poster sites down there. So I don't know how well filed our image bank is, but it was something we did try and work a few years back to try and get a bank of images that could be used. I'm just wondering if there's any mileage in the people who did the Thetford booklet, U3A group. They must have loads of images that they took to produce that booklet. They might be able to provide something that we can utilise for fillers there. But you know, there's great scope to put stuff in there. But I think the idea of the third party being involved, given that they do have involvement with lots of things happening in the town, to promote it there would seem to be a natural way forward, rather than us reliant upon managing ourselves, because it is a time-consuming task for people to go over there, keep it up to date, and we may not be up to speed with what is happening in the town, whereas somebody else who's more at the front line of events may be able to do so. But yeah, have that conversation, please, Dave.
Brenda.
I didn't put my hand up. I don't know.
Oh, I do apologise. Terry. Sorry, Brenda.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for those comments, David and Stuart. I mean, this has been done obviously at the train station is another good example where discover Thetford, explore Thetford, all of that sort of stuff. So the precedent is quite well established, so we can be fairly creative, because there's quite a lot of slots on that window. So I like the idea of at least one or two with photos of the various rooms at the Carnegie and the Guildhall. So a couple of sort of marketing opportunities for us. But actually, you could have one, if the Dad's Army Museum want bits and pictures and opening times and stuff on one of them, and they take care of that slot, absolutely fine. But in time, we will have events and stuff, which would probably take precedence. But rather than having something empty, if we had a bank of stuff, and as David says, that can be reused, if there's a gap, you stick it in. If there's not, there's not. So I think we probably need to agree, Chair, to spend some money to do a bit of repair work to the ones that are broken. The third party that we refer to is Leaping Hare, and I don't know if it went through Alp or through them, but they have said that they don't want to be responsible for filling the rotunda, because obviously they're not funded, and when people give posters, often they're emailed and then they have to print them, and then somebody has to go up and actually physically do that. So there is a commitment there. So we need to decide if we're happy to take on that responsibility as a council. And if we're not and we want the service, we need to agree if we're going to pay somebody to provide that service, as in servicing the rotunda. I do know that the magnets, specifically, David, Leaping Hare have them, so you know, they're quite happy to hand them over, because I was asking them questions about physically how do you get into the thing, because you know, I could see the sellotape and I thought, gosh, you know, you can't have sellotape on it because that's why it smears. So they are available, but definitely worth having a conversation with them. But if we agree today, Chair, to agree to a pot of money, I don't have a suggestion in mind, by the way, but it's going to cost something. Do the repair work, get somebody on board to design and print the fillers and take it from there.
Thank you, Terry. I'm assuming, Dave, this is not going to be a great sum of money and it would fall within a maintenance budget.
I would hope it's not a great sum of money because, you know, some of the refurbishment in terms of repainting and things like that. So it just needs to be, the hinges need to be looked at. We just need to check the tops. It's good that we can now locate where the magnets are so we can get that ready, and any posters that we do have going forward to be presented in a better way than that image shows.
Sorry, David. So I was interrupting you.
And so, yeah, I'm happy to take that forward, and I'll discuss it with the works team in terms of, you know, is there anything that they can do, and if not, we'll have to get some outside contractor in just to look at it and try and refurb some of the doors. And
given Terry's comment around the third party going forward, just trying to think laterally, the posters, I would suspect probably would be changed monthly. Is that a reasonable assumption?
I'm not sure there's a sort of a time schedule that strict. It depends what we've got and how. I mean, we would really like to ramp up advertising our events. You know, no less than a month before the actual event. So you'd need to have it in there for a little while. And there are only, I think there are only 6 of those windows available on the rotunda. So it's never going to house loads and loads of posters. I think you can get 4 A4 in one window. As you see, those 2 posters are A3.
Yeah. So just I was trying to think, you know, because it's in such a prominent position, and how we as a body engage with it, and a bit lateral thinking here. We have a member of staff that's on that space every week, which is the market supervisor. Is this something we can maybe add to that role?
That's actually a very good shout, to be honest. Basically, we can be, you know, we can be the location now, or when things enable for posters to be deposited at reception here in the Carnegie, and they can be put into the market supervisor's pigeonhole if they need to be posted in the rotunda. So, yeah, the logistics is just been sorted with that suggestion, so that's fine.
Because that'd be a slight change in, would that need to be a recommendation to the personnel committee because it's a slight change in role?
Oh, no, I don't think so. It's not an onerous task. And, you know, there is times when the market supervisor is, you know, has got everybody in, they're setting up their stall. It's ideal to, I mean, when we had the previous market supervisor, Barry, that was the ideal time, and a current supervisor does exactly the same. You know, you go around and pick a bit of litter up and sweep the steps of the shambles units and things like that. So this is just another one of those tasks. So it's nothing too onerous, and it's nothing really that personnel have got to get involved with, I don't think.
Fantastic. I've got Stuart.
Thank you, Chair. Just follow on, David. I think if you can specify posters coming in on A4 size, then you get the maximum amount of display there. Obviously, if they come in the size that they're shown there, that just blocks up the whole window and you can't get them in there, because there's so many people out there have got things to offer. You know, I think make the best use of the space. So it needs to specify the size of the posters if they're getting dropped off to us.
Yeah, okay, we'll do.
Okay, I've got no other speakers, so I'm sure Chris Crimmins is going to keep me straight on this. I think we can delegate to David to undertake the maintenance of the rotunda, and that he has that responsibility because it falls within his budget line. And you directly line manage the market supervisor, David, I believe.
I do, yeah. So that's fine.
That's quite a simple conversation. So it's been quite a useful, productive item to bring forward. So thank you for that, Terry. I have no further comments because I think we have a way forward on it, actually. So unless anybody else has anything else to say, I should move the item on.
Well, just to Chair, what I'll do is when I get some outline designs of those fillers, for want of a better term, I'll just send them round to the committee. Certainly, when we're talking about museums and things, I have a feeling that we could probably identify all 3 museums on one filler. I don't know what Stuart's opinion is of that. So just as a bog standard places of interest style. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll try and get some examples and I'll send it round to the committee for comments before we actually press the button to spend money.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for that item. Okay, that moves us on to item 650/20, which is the items just discussed and reviewed. And it's quite timely actually because it looks like February's going to be really busy because a couple of items have been added to the February's agenda. So the website review is coming back to us next month. We had scheduled the marketplace improvement, which is, I believe there's a working group meeting later this week. And the Guildhall was scheduled for a discussion in March anyway. And I think you suggested that come forward to February as well. So it looks like February's going to be a very busy meeting, which is good. As I say, the plans there for councillors and officers to suggest the way forward for us. You can see we've only populated it with suggestions for March and April. March is now devoid of any items at the moment, but do members, considering we've got a busy meeting in February, want to bring one of the reports forward from April into March? I'm going to make a suggestion to you, actually. Open space commercialisation report. It might be prudent to bring that forward into March, considering we're in the first throes of spring, and being ever the optimist, I'm hoping that we're in at least a different tier or completely out of this constraints we currently find ourselves. But as I say, it's open to comments, colleagues.
If I may, Mark, I think if we're going to bring things into February, you're going to have an overlap into March. I think the Guildhall operational plan and the ideas we've talked about this morning will probably need a couple of stabs at it. And similarly, the website will need a couple of stabs at it. So I would suggest you try and just keep it, because what we want to do is give them a fair airing. We don't want to have an agenda that's crammed, that we don't give things the fair airing that they need.
Thank you, Stuart. Brenda.
I was wondering if we can have it on the March agenda, the ideas about the opening up of the Guildhall and what's it? Because I can't see us opening in February, but March, April time. If we could look at that then.
I think David suggests we actually look at that in February, Brenda, to be on the front foot. Is that okay?
February.
Yeah, it was mentioned in one of the earlier items.
Okay.
It was scheduled for March, but actually I think Stuart makes a really good point, because the website, the Guildhall and the marketplace are 3 quite weighty items, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to box those off in one meeting. So I think you've given a really good steer there, Stuart.
Could I just make one suggestion? So we have progressed the website to a degree. So in February we're going to actually see some physical examples. So we may well be able to make some decisions around that. So, but potentially if we don't, they are just a few tweaks before we come to a decision. I think in terms of February, in terms of the Guildhall, it's an ideal opportunity to go back as we did already with the website in terms of how we would like to deliver and what kind of events we would deliver. Keep it on March to formalise it and agree the marketing plan. So there's your meaty bit there, but we're just having a brainstorming discussion in February on Guildhall. And again, similarly, we can do that in March for your open spaces. So again, let's have just a brainstorming session in March on your open spaces to say, well, that's all very well to talk about commercialism, but how do we see that working? And then we work up a plan to really discuss and formalise in April. So yeah, I mean, the forward plan is working. It's trying to focus our minds, but I think there's a sequence of events leading up to the point where we actually make the formal decision. So I think we can still do it, Chair, in February.
I'd rather be busy than not, David. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that timeline if colleagues are. Colleagues, we have nothing scheduled in for the months May, June, July and August. So maybe not for this meeting, but I'll invite you in between now and our next meeting to think about a forward schedule for those meetings. Obviously, don't worry about August because we don't have any meetings in August. But other than that, it'd be be useful so we can plot out our year and have a continuous course. I don't have anybody else wish to comment. So we have our direction, and it is just to note this report. So thank you all, and I'll move on to our next item, which is 651/20 community engagements. Discuss and agree any consultation on the media release required. And I'll open the floor to anyone that wishes to put something forward. I'll take silence as golden, so I'm going to move that item on. I did worry my iPad would freeze then. And our final item for the day is 652/20 committee officers update to update any information since the agenda was released. Do we have any, David?
No, nothing to report, Chair.
Okay, that's great. Well, look, that draws our meeting to a close. Thank you for everyone's participation today. Been really useful. I hope all stay safe and well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.